Welcome to the September 29th, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of the Town of Raymond. The Zoning Board of Appeals will come to order. The board does have a quorum this evening, and now I'd like to do a roll call. So because of this format, I would love it if everyone would state their name and what role they're playing this evening. I'm Joanne Stinson on the Zoning Board.
Are you going to point to us or just speak?
Go for it, Lynn.
I'm Len Sorelli, Vice Chair.
Patricia Beaton, member.
Mary Quirk,
Thank you.
recording secretary. How's that?
Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne.
Yes, Wayne Jones, fire inspector with the fire department.
And it looks like,
Code officer for the town.
thank you, Alex. We've got Mike Richmond and Travis Corson, both here applicants this evening.
Travis
Okay.
is still trying to connect to audio.
I'll give him 1 second here just so he can hear everything. Well, Mike, you're on, so I'll continue with this, so at least you're getting all of it. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all of the exhibits that are presented. Notify the chair if you're unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda, and we'll be considering tonight's items in the following order. We have election of officers, new business, which is an application by Mike Richmond, an agent for Travis Corson for a setback reduction. Then we have code enforcement officer communications and end with adjournment. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances or state law. After the board votes on the merits of each application, it will prepare a written notice of decision. Because the notice of decision may substantially affect any appeals rights, and also as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting with regards to a specific application not leave until the board has completed its discussion. Generally speaking, appeals from adverse decisions must be filed with the Superior Court as otherwise provided by law within 45 days of this board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your individual right to file any such appeal, you must be certain that the board's record evidences your appearance this evening in opposition and the basis for your opposition. All persons speaking, that would be you, Mike, and Travis, just, say your name and where you live. And Travis obviously would state his address. He's the actual applicant. And the meeting is not over until the board has formally adjourned. Any discussion not included on the meeting agenda or accepted by the board is to be held until after adjournment or conducted outside of the Zoom room. And to begin, first item on the agenda is the election of officers. And I'd like to entertain a motion from any of the members to table this, because if we are changing out officers, it won't be until after tonight's meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to table the elections till the meeting in the future.
Second.
Well, we can do it at the end of this meeting.
At the end of this meeting,
Mm-hmm.
we can wait till the end of the meeting. I make a motion to do so.
Len, did you second that?
Yes, I second that.
Okay, we will move election of officers till the end of the meeting then. And for new business, we have the application, Mike Richmond of Custom Concepts, Inc., an agent for Travis Corson. Location is map 41, lot 0110-000, zone LRR1 at 105 Meadow Road, and this is for a setback reduction. The board did conduct a site walk, and Len's going to give us a report for the site walk.
On 9/26/2020, the board did a site walk on 105 Meadow Road. The attendants were Joanne Stinson, Len Sorelli, Patricia Beaton. No abutters, agents, owners attended the site walk. Site walk was a little different for us as the owner had dug an exploratory hole in the ground to show the layout of where the proposed home is going to be. So if you can think of standing on a small hill and looking down into a swimming pool, that's what it looked like. All the dirt from the hole was on the sides, which made it very difficult to climb down and get, actually get in the hole. But we were able to see everything we needed to see. We saw all the pins. We saw all the old well, the well that was there. And we also viewed the proposed parking area. Was really it.
Very good. Patricia, anything to add?
Nope, that was thorough.
You're good. Okay, with that, like to start with the presentation by the applicant or applicants.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Mike Richmond, Custom Concepts Architects. On the phone, actually, with Travis, who's having some technical difficulties, we'll say. So if you're okay with it, Travis, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Good.
All right. So Travis, we can hear you over my phone, but we can't see you on TV, and that's fine.
Okay.
So thank you for this. I'm here on behalf of Travis, as mentioned, and I'm hoping this is a somewhat straightforward request. As explained in my packet, we're basically asking for a setback reduction for this particular property. I will not read through my whole submission because I don't want to put you to sleep. But basically, this site is very long, very narrow. As Len said, it's very steep. And when we applied the typical building setbacks to it, particularly from the side, it left a very odd shaped building envelope for us to work with. Basically, we had about 9 foot 10 inches to work with side to side. And that would not take into consideration building overhangs. So initially, Travis and I actually discussed building a tiny house, which you've probably seen or heard of, literally a tiny house, and we love those. This particular lot, however, because of the steep slope, really would make that challenging. The steep slope obviously would be multi-level, and in order to put a code compliant stair in there, almost half the width of that building envelope would be eaten up just for stairs. So we would end up with this super, super long, skinny, tall house. So we went back and forth on this and ended up eventually coming up with the design that's before you. A couple key points. As you said, Travis did dig an exploratory hole. It was pretty suspect that it could be a mound there because of ledge. When I see a particular ledge, an outcropping, first thing I think of is ledge. So we were pleased that there wasn't ledge down there. And the well is already on the site. Part of the reason for this particular location that we're asking for is to sort of slide it over to one side to give us the proper distances and a little breathing room from the well. The total lot coverage, eventually I'd work that out with Alex, but we'd still be within our 15%. The specifics of what we're asking for, the front of the lot, none. We have plenty of depth to work with on this lot. The south setback, 1 foot 4 inches, and this would be to the overhang. The east side, again, none. We have plenty of depth. The north setback, about 6 foot, call it 6'6". So going through this process, that's what led us down this path. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Len?
No questions.
No questions. I do have a question, gentlemen. First of all, Travis, you don't own any other lots on the sides surrounding this property, correct?
Yeah, correct. I tried. I was hoping Wayne, my neighbor, died, and I was hoping to buy that lot. But his grandson, which is a nice guy, he bought it instead. And So I only own that piece of property.
Okay. And then just to be clear, want to make sure I wasn't confused. We've got the width of the proposed house, 18 feet, and the depth, I'm confused if it's 36 or 44. I wasn't sure on the plan, there was 36 feet and then there was another 8 on the main floor, but is that included within the 36?
No, it's 36 feet of house
Yep,
and then 8 feet of exterior deck.
okay, okay. So it's 18 by 36 is what we're talking about.
Well, technically, the house itself would be 16 by 36.
Okay,
I always think of roof overhangs also having to comply with setbacks, which I'm sure Alex would shake his head on, yeah. So I always look furthest point to furthest point, which in this case would actually be 18 by 45. And I get that because I'm adding 1 foot to the front again for roof overhangs.
okay. Any other questions? Yes,
So-
Len.
I forgot to disclose this at the beginning, but Travis's company has done some work on my property. I've never met him. And I just know that, he owns the tree cutting company that worked on my property.
Okay, I have no problem with that. Patricia, any concerns? Yeah, no, thank you very much, Len. Appreciate that. Anyone else have any other questions for Mike or Travis? Okay. And we have no abutters here present. And Mary, I assume no one's called in with any questions as opposing or anything.
Not a thing.
Okay, I will read, Mary did get a telephone call on 9/24 with a Paul Humphreys who lives at 20 Panther Pond Pines. He wanted to state his opinion that he's against the setback reduction for Travis Corson at 105 Meadow Road. He believes that everyone should stick to the ordinance. So thank you for your input, Paul. Appreciate that. So that's all we have for any other comments. Mike and Travis, do you have any other comments that you'd like to add?
I guess my only comment in general, everybody, would be that this is very much something that he needs, not something he wants. And I know there's a big difference between the two. A lot of times in my business, we're able to roll up our sleeves and get creative and solve problems and not have to go before zoning boards. But with this particular site, I mean, 9.9 foot 10 inches for an entire house from eave to eave is very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Again, something we feel we need, not want.
And I just want to thank everybody for their time.
Wayne or Alex, did you have any questions for the applicants?
Yes, I do. Wayne from the fire department. When I look at the building design, the third floor, for us to rescue occupants from the third floor rear, our longest ladder is a 35-foot ladder and should be positioned at 75 degrees for optimal climbing and rescuing of people or stretching hose lines up that way. This looks like a real challenge for us, and would like to see how that design, if there's any modifications that could be made so that we have that access to them from the rear. That rear third floor deck is the concern.
Yeah, I think, I know from the front, it should be fine. Yeah, I'm assuming if we make some sort of access for you to access the deck from the front, because it's going to be kind of like a great room up there. I don't think it'll be that bad because of the height of the front of the house, as far as the height you're looking at, Wayne. I might be mistaken, Mike. You have the plans there with the depth and all that, the height.
Yes, I do. And looking at basically the topography, how it keeps stepping down. If we were trying to reach that third floor deck on the rear, I'm not sure that we could with our ground ladder. One, because of the first floor deck sticking out is going to really change our angle. And then I don't know with our 35-foot ground ladder if we're going to be able to reach that deck. And
I do have a bucket truck.
What's that?
I do have a bucket truck.
Yeah, but we can't use that for.
I know, Wayne. I'm just kidding.
But it'd be something for us to work on the design of the house, is to make sure that we have the ability to rescue people from that third floor deck on the rear. I totally agree with you on the front. We can rescue somebody through the front
Wayne,
window.
is this a question of, like the building permit would not be issued unless, would you be signing off on that at all with Alex or?
We could make that a condition of your approval. That would work. It's not normally something that we would do in the course of issuing a permit for a house, but we could make that a condition of your approval if that's agreeable.
I guess I'm only wondering if I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but Wayne, I have an idea.
Yeah. And we're open to ideas.
So the one elevation that I do not have drawn is the northern elevation, which for the most part will look very much like the south elevation. However, the placement of the retaining wall is somewhat of a variable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need any windows. Sorry, Travis. You're not going to get any windows on that lower side of the house. So I can easily work with my computer and pull that retaining wall at least far enough to give you an overlap and give you a shot towards that upper deck.
Right.
From the northern side.
Right. And the thing to factor in is the 75-degree angle of our ground ladder.
Okay.
Because if you get any steeper or any lower profile of the ground ladder, it's hard enough for firefighters to climb that. And you can imagine just the general lay people, if it's not in a good position, they're not going to want to come down that ladder without a lot of assistance, if they even get on it to start with. So it's really, that degree of the ladder is really important for rescuing people.
Understood.
And that's what we would need to do on that third floor, is have two ways to be able to get somebody out of that third floor area.
I guess the question I would have, maybe it's to Alex, is does this fall under us approving the side setbacks, or is that more of a design and permitting issue?
Structure height question would be considered or reviewed under building permit.
Okay.
You guys aren't reviewing this particular application for the height requirement. That would be something I would work with them on if they're going to do this phase.
That's right.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Wayne, though, just so we're aware of the issue.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments for the applicants?
No.
Okay, with that, and we had no opposers here, I'll close the public comment and open it up for discussion with the board members. My first comments are just that, just for the record, we know this is a non-conforming lot. It's a legal non-conforming lot. We also just have to have on the record that the Board of Appeals does have the power and duty to hear variance and setback appeals via section 16G1 of shoreland zoning. So I just need to have that on the record. Any thoughts, comments, Len or Patricia?
No,
No.
no, the format that we go through covers pretty much everything, right?
Yeah. Alex, did you have any comments?
No, not really. I mean, I think that, under that section F, it does state that, I'm trying to just pull it up real quick here.
Yeah. 16G2F is where we're going.
There was a specific section here that I wanted to, may only be granted and are only available for lots with a residential dwelling as the principal structure. I mean, I think that clearly that's the case here. It's just going to be, a single family dwelling, which would be the principal structure. So, I mean, I think that it fits within the parameters of that section for sure.
Okay, thanks, Alex. And actually, I'll lead the group through, sorry to bore you all, but we are going to walk through the criteria. This is section 16G under appeals 2F. The Board of Appeals may grant reductions from the minimum setback requirements set forth in section 15A of these provisions according to the following criteria. And I'm going to walk through each of them, and I would ask the board members to yay or nay whether we've met those. 1, setback reduction appeals are only available to reduce the minimum requirement for setbacks of structures from lot boundary lines. Setback reduction appeals shall not be used and are not available from bodies of water as provided in these provisions. As I see it, these are just for side setbacks. This isn't near a body of water. So do all those who believe the requirement has been met?
Yeah.
Yay.
That's 3. Not met would be 0. Number 2, the setback reduction appeals may only be granted and are only available for lots with a residential dwelling as the principal structure, which Alex was just referring to. The only structure designed for this property is a residential dwelling, and it is the principal structure. All those requirement met?
Yeah.
Yay.
Opposed, 0. That's 3-0. Okay. 3, the Board of Appeals may grant a setback reduction appeal if the board finds that granting the setback reduction will not result in unreasonable interference with the privacy interests of the abutting landowners. I did not feel that I saw any concerns on our walkthrough as far as interference for the abutters, and we got no comments from any abutters regarding interference.
True.
With that, is the requirement met?
Yay.
3, not met, 0. 5, I'm sorry, 4, in granting a setback reduction, the Board of Appeals may attach reasonable conditions, which it may deem necessary to serve the purposes of these provisions. I don't have any suggestions for conditions myself. Either of you?
No.
Any thoughts? Okay. 5, a setback reduction appeal shall not be granted to enable construction or renovation that will create additional dwelling units. And there is only one dwelling unit designed. So is this requirement met?
Yay.
Not met, 0. 6, the setback reduction appeal shall not be granted to enable construction or renovation that will result in more than one garage on the lot that is subject of the appeal. I don't believe there's any garage in this design. Okay. Requirement met?
Yes.
Not met, 0. No setback reduction appeal may be granted that will result in impervious surface lot coverage of greater than 15%. And that's why I was targeting in on the calculations. And according to, it sounds like Alex has gone over this, with these guys, but even if it was 18 by 36, that would only be 12% coverage if we add in the driveway. And Alex, correct us if we're not counting everything we need to, but it would be the structure of the house and the driveway, I believe.
Yeah, that's
So I had 18 by 36 was 648 plus 283 for the drive, and the lot is 7,889, giving us 12%. I think even if we went to the 44 feet max, that put us at 14% coverage. So either way, according to my calculations, we're under the 15%. So with that, requirement met,
Yes.
not met, 0. And finally, setback reduction appeals may only be granted the minimum extent necessary to accomplish the purpose of the appeal. Setbacks may not be reduced by setback reduction appeal to less than the following absolute minimum setbacks. And the one we're concerned with is 10 feet on the sides. What I've heard and what I see in the design is the appellant is requesting a side setback reduction of 1 foot 4 inches on the south and 6 feet 5 3/4 on the north. Thus, the new setbacks for the sides would be 18.8 and 13.6 1/4 respectively, which is greater than the minimum 10, the absolute minimum 10 we're allowed to approve. With that, is the requirement met?
Yes.
Yes. And not 0. Okay, so with that, we have all of the requirements show being met with 3 approving it to 0. So I will take a motion then on the application. Len or Patricia, you want to make a motion?
Make a motion as to accept and approve the setbacks based on the fact that all requirements have been met.
Second.
All those in favor? That would be 3-0, to grant. So with that, Mike and Travis, we have, the zoning board has found that you did meet all of the requirements of section 16, article 2, required in order to be granted a setback reduction, and there were no conditions put on it. I would just say that behind the scenes, when you guys talked about the permitting and the concerns of the fire department, that you look at that with the building permit, which it sounds like you're going to. And we thank you guys so much for bringing your application to the board.
Thank you very much.
And I'll write up a finding of fact so you have something official. And Mary, how do we get that signed by all? Do I drop that off at the town office?
Yes, if you drop it in the town office, then you 3 can swing on by and sign it.
Okay, I'll try to get that done by Wednesday or Thursday, and I will email you, Len and Patricia, to go in and sign that when that's done, to let you
And
know
when-
it's done.
When you come to sign it, I can let you in the back door and just then sign and be on your way.
Very good. Okay, Mike and Travis, you don't have to stay if you don't want to, but you're welcome if you want to listen. Next, we'll go on to Alex for, thank you, for Code Enforcement Officer Communications.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, welcome, Alex.
Yeah, thanks. What sort of stuff should I be communicating?
Just kind of, usually it's what's going on around code enforcement these days. Is it really busy? What kind of things are you seeing? Is there a lot of new construction?
Sure, yeah. Yes, it's been very busy. I think a lot of factors go into that. But, you know, the residential housing market is just, it's on fire still. And, you know, basically what's happening is anything that's less than $500,000, you're not able to keep it on the market. So Existing homes are selling and new construction is selling. So there's a lot of development in general taking place. So some of the subdivisions that have been sitting for a number of years are starting to actually, come back to life again. So we've got quite a few new homes being built, and then of course the waterfront stuff, the demo and reconstruction stuff is still continuing on as it has been for a while, and the Cape is very busy, but in general, all of the waterfront throughout town is pretty busy. So I think Mary's doing a great job, getting me acquainted with the town and everyone here. And I think, the first couple of months were tough because between COVID and then, the lapse in code officers, the backlog of permits and communications, it's pretty high still after 2 months being here. So, but we've got a good system going now. One of the things that's changing is we're trying to be a little bit more or take advantage of the technology we have. And we did recently sign a contract with a company to do online permitting. So
Great.
in the next 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully, we'll have that up and running on our website. So people will actually be able to apply for permits right online and schedule inspections and track all of that, which will help take the load off here administratively. And then it's also a little bit of an insurance, for us in case with COVID, if the office had to shut down, we would still be able to run remotely because it's all cloud-based. So at least that way we could do a little bit more out of the office if that has to happen. So excited to have that in place. It's going to help us quite a bit. And we've already started taking phone calls and office meeting scheduling through the website. So we're trying to make it a little bit easier for people to get a hold of us and get the information they need. So it's busy, but hopefully we can keep people away from you guys so you don't have to meet too much. But
We appreciate that. Do you have any word or heard of any appeals down the road heading our way?
Right now, nothing
Yeah.
right now. There is a couple. There's some enforcement stuff that's probably going to start to happen now that I've been here for a couple of months and have kind of got a good lay of the land. There are a few violations out there that will be kind of starting to tackle, and there's always the risk with issuing a notice of violation that someone might submit an administrative appeal just to make sure that they take advantage of that opportunity to try and get that NOV reversed. But I mean, that would be the only thing I see right now. I don't know of anything on the radar for setback reduction or variance. Could pop up, but right now I don't know of anything.
Oh, that's great. And good job on, that'll be a nice productivity improvement with the permitting online. I think that'll help Mary out hopefully a lot too. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
And then Beck, I guess we can untable the election of officers then at this point. And currently, I am sitting as the chair, and I opened it up to, I think it's always good for the board to rotate the positions, and Len is the vice chair at this point. So I understand that it's okay for me to nominate Len Sorelli for chair. Patricia, would you like to second it, or are you interested too?
No, I'm unable to fill those shoes right now. Busy, but I can second that.
Okay, all those in favor? Great. And then that leaves the vice chair.
And I would nominate you, Joanne.
Thank you so much.
I would also.
I'll take that as a second. All those in favor? That's fine. Okay, so the next time we have a meeting, which could be in a month and it could be in a year, we don't know. Len, we'll welcome you to the chair position and get things going that way. That's great. And any other last comments before we adjourn? Anybody?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
No, thank you everyone so much for attending. And with that, I take a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, 7:35, we're done. Thank you very much, everybody.
You
Thank
are
you.